I remember the first time I saw her that night at the company holiday party, laughing with a glass of champagne in hand, the light catching in her hair like it was made to shine. She was the center of attention as always, her warmth drawing people in. I smiled genuinely, thinking how lucky I was that she was mine. But there was a tension that clung to the back of my neck that evening, a premonition I couldn't shake. By 10 p.m., the party had hit its peak. Laughter, music, the clinking of glasses. It all felt like a dream, one I was reluctant to wake from. Sarah, my wife, had been close to me all evening, but when I turned to grab her hand, she was gone. Just like that. I asked around, a creeping anxiety forming in my chest. Sarah. Did anyone see her? Her colleagues shrugged, exchanged awkward glances. I think she stepped out for a phone call, one of them said a little too quickly. I didn't feel relief. Felt suspicion. I checked my phone compulsively, imagining all sorts of scenarios. Maybe she had a headache, maybe she wanted some fresh air. But the more I waited, the less convincing my imagination felt. By midnight, when I finally went to the hotel lobby where the party was held, she wasn't there. The next morning, my unease had turned into something heavier, more tangible. I went to work, pretending I could focus on spreadsheets and emails. But my mind kept returning to the empty chair beside mine. At 9 a.m., a message from security popped up on my phone. Sir, we have something regarding last night. Please come to the office. Froze. Something in me tightened, a cold knot of dread. When I arrived, the security manager led me into a small, dimly lit room. A monitor flickered, showing a timestamp from last night. Sir, the manager said, his voice careful, this footage was captured by our lobby cameras. You might want to see it. I watched, heart hammering. Sarah appeared on screen, walking briskly toward the side exit. Her hair was messy, laughter curling on her lips, but not directed at anyone I knew. She stepped outside into a waiting black car. And then she kissed him. The man she kissed, lean, tall, wearing a suit that looked like it had been tailored for him, looked back at the camera with an expression that made my stomach twist. This was no brief encounter. No accidental brush of hands. My wife, the woman I had trusted completely, was gone from me in the most brutal way imaginable. I sank into the chair, unable to move, unable to breathe. Is there anything else? My voice was small, hollow. That's all we have for now, sir, the security manager replied. We wanted to make sure you saw it before taking any further steps. I left the office, my world reduced to shades of gray. Everything seemed wrong, the air, the sunlight, even the office buzz. I drove home in a daze, replaying the video in my mind. I couldn't think straight, but somewhere deep down, a part of me didn't want to believe it. Couldn't be real. Sarah wouldn't, could she? When I walked into our apartment, it smelled like her perfume. That familiar scent, usually comforting, now made my chest ache in a new way, sharp and unforgiving. I sat on the couch, staring at the stack of unopened mail on the table, pretending I was waiting for her to walk in, laugh, and tell me it had all been a joke. She didn't come. Hours passed. I finally called her. The phone rang, went to voicemail. I left a trembling message, the words barely forming. Sarah, I saw the video. Can you explain? No reply. By evening, I knew she wasn't coming back that night. Or maybe, she wasn't coming back at all. I couldn't tell which hurt more, the betrayal or the emptiness left in its wake. Days blurred together. I went through the motions. Work, sleep, eat, repeat. But every time my phone buzzed, hope twisted into fear. Then finally she called. Her voice was calm, almost rehearsed. We need to talk. I met her at a quiet cafe downtown, the kind with dim lighting and soft music, where no one would notice. She sat across from me, hands wrapped around a coffee cup. Her eyes didn't meet mine at first. I didn't mean for you to find out this way, she began. Her voice shook slightly. I laughed bitterly. You didn't mean for me to find out at all, did you? Her eyes glistened, and I realized she was crying, a detail that somehow enraged me even more. It wasn't like that. I felt trapped. I didn't know how to say it. Trapped. My voice rose. We have a house, a life, a marriage. How is kissing someone else at a company party? How is that? This, an answer to feeling trapped. I didn't know how to leave. I thought, maybe it would just happen differently. She looked down, her fingers twisting in the cup. I never wanted to hurt you. I felt invisible, like my needs didn't matter. The words were both soft and sharp, cutting through the haze of my anger. I wanted to scream at her, shake her until she understood the pain she'd caused. But the truth was, understood. I could feel the loneliness she described, the moments when we'd sit in the same room, side by side, and talk about the weather instead of each other. The nights when I'd come home from work exhausted, missing the signs she was giving me. I don't know if I can forgive you, I admitted, voice breaking. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Her tears fell freely now. I know. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just needed you to know the truth. That I'm not leaving you without saying something real for the first time in a long time. I looked at her, and for a moment I saw the woman I had fallen in love with. The one who had kissed me with eyes full of hope, not bitterness. But that woman seemed buried beneath layers of secrets and fear. We sat there in silence, both of us tasting the bitter residue of love turned fragile. The betrayal had changed everything, and yet, strangely, it also reminded me that we were human. Flawed, scared, desperately trying to find something we had lost. In the following weeks, we didn't talk much. I avoided her texts, ignored her calls. She left flowers at the doorstep, notes of apology tucked inside books she knew I loved. I read them but never responded. Part of me wanted to hold her, the part that loved her still. Another part wanted to walk away and never look back. Then came the confrontation at the lawyer's office. A place neither of us wanted but both knew was inevitable. The divorce papers sat on the desk, crisp and final. Sarah looked at me with eyes that begged for something I couldn't name. Forgiveness, understanding, maybe even redemption. I signed without looking at her. She signed after me, her hand trembling, and for a moment, the world felt impossibly heavy. Outside, the city moved on, indifferent to our fracture. And yet, in that cold December air, I realized something. Betrayal doesn't just destroy, it reveals. It forces you to see what you've ignored, what you've taken for granted. And maybe, just maybe, it's the first step toward something honest, even if it's separate. Months later, I found myself in a quiet park, watching the leaves turn gold and red. I thought of her, Sarah, and I wondered if she was finally finding herself, or if she was as lost as I felt at the time. I didn't feel anger anymore. Not fully. Felt clarity. Betrayal had burned me, left scars, changed the way I saw love. But it had also reminded me that love was never simple, never perfect. It was messy, complicated, and sometimes devastating. And in that devastation, I found the only thing that remained unbroken. The truth. Even if it hurt.